I was just watching some highlights from Antiques Roadshow, both the US version and the UK version, because I wanted to think about value and valuation. And when I think of value and valuation and just what the idea of value is about, I always think about these shows where there are appraisals. And interestingly enough, the stuff that is usually worth the most is art and craft and also timepieces tend to be expensive. But those are obviously a combination of art and craft, so there you go. But I don't watch those shows to find out the value of various items. I watch those shows to see how the appraisers, the professionals, handle the delivery of valuation and the considerations that they're making. I really feel like, for me, that's the exciting part of the show, because it creates that drama that the show relies on. And for me, that has the greatest value. On today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, I'm going to ask the cards about value and talk a little bit about it. So stick around. I'm John Paulus. Thanks for joining me. I have the deck of Life's Potluck Buffet cards here, all 55 of them. On the bottom of the deck is Make People's Days. Oh, an update on that one. I was afforded the opportunity this morning to make someone's day, a friend who's a business owner who was nominated for a big competition. I was able to vote for their business in that competition. I let them know, and then they sent me an email back that really made my day. It was such a lovely email. And so there was the chain of events that made people's days. I think that my day was made, and I think that I, in a little way, made somebody's day. So that is great, because whenever I draw card 36, I always find that the opportunity presents itself to make someone's day almost immediately. And yesterday I drew card 36, so I knew that something was gonna be on the horizon. I never know where it's gonna come from, what corner, but it always does. And I hope that you had an opportunity already today to make somebody's day. And if you haven't already, keep an eye out, because there's going to be an opportunity coming up to make someone's day. I know it. So just make sure you're ready when it happens, because it's going to happen soon. Okay. So that's on the bottom of the deck. And I will now do 3 casual shuffles. 2, 3. And then I will do 1 not so casual grand shuffle, great shuffle. And that will enable me to get the cards mixed up enough to activate them. And now, but there are 3 spaces that are gaps in the card where I could possibly choose from. But there's all right, well, I think there's a 4th one here. There's like a secret hidden one. All right, I'm going to grab that one. Okay, here we go. Here's our card for the day. Talking about value. Cards, help us talk about value. It's card 38. You are what you hate. Oh, this is a controversial one. Well, only controversial with me, because it's something that it's a thing I wrestle with. You are what you hate. The concept behind this is that when you're kind of thinking about something that you criticize or look down on or think that you hate, especially when it has to do with a work identity, I find, and this is what this card is about, those work identities that we have, that we say, oh, I would hate that, I hate that, that kind of thing. It's really important to explore those, because when we have very strong emotions about things, that is a telltale sign that we need to explore that, because we're telling ourselves something, and a lot of times we're telling ourselves the opposite. Yeah, I know it seems counterintuitive, but it's actually not. It's the same thing as that story that you just told about someone else is actually about you. And, it makes sense when you think about it, because you can't inhabit that other person's mind. That you're thinking from your mind. So whenever we tell stories about other people, they undergo a transformation in our minds because we're telling them, and so the stories all of a sudden start to become about us. And the same thing is true when you say something. There's a card about really strongly affirming or denying something, how the opposite is true. That's the same thing is true with you are what you hate. And we know this. I talked about this before. You think about just the history of art. I was talking about art earlier in Antiques Roadshow, and think about the history of poetry, and you think about also cinema and film. And I was talking about Spike Lee's "Do the Right Thing," that whole speech about love and hate. And I think about poems written millennia ago about how love and hate are two sides of the same coin. And the human life has told us that these two things are very closely related. So by exploring something that perhaps think you despise, there's an element of it that you're really connecting with, and that is difficult to deal with, that is worth exploring. So that's something to keep in mind, and thinking about what you really mean to say when you say that okay, I hate this thing, or I hate this job, or I hate this whatever you're hating. Think about how that relates to who you are and what you mean to say about yourself. So that's a good card. Card 38. You are what you hate. And that's interesting because this very episode about valuation and value and so on and so forth, I could think of certain things out there, certain activities out in the world that are intensely focused on value and valuation, that I would say, oh, I would hate that, or I hate that. I don't, that's all so focused on valuation, and everything is about the value, and nothing is about the human, and things like that. But using the principle, you are what you hate, I have to think about, well, what does that actually mean about what am I actually trying to say about that? Do I really mean what I'm saying? And what do I really not hate about that? And I think what I realize is true in all of these cases, and it's something that kind of is overarching in terms of value and valuation, that I guess I'm uneasy with. It's not so much, I guess it's not so much hate as it is discomfort with it, because it seems so simplistic, right, in a certain way, that but it's a very complex thing. And the most complex factor that is out of our control is the time factor, because that's what the important element of all of this that we're talking about is. And that's really the key here to this idea of value and valuation. And it's true with money. We know that. We know that with investments. What's the most important thing is time. Anybody will tell you that. I don't think there's anybody who would. And if you realize that about our lives and our work, the same principle applies. The only thing that we have an absolute limited amount of, that is absolutely out of our control, is time, is how much time we have, period, on this earth. So that is why the most valuable thing of all, and I've talked about this before, but the most valuable thing of all is time. And so when we're doing value or valuation, considering the time element in that value or valuation is absolutely essential if it's going to be something that is, well, even can pretend to be accurate. Because time is the most precious resource that we have. And that is something that makes it the most valuable thing that we have. And there's nothing that can possibly be more valuable in that regard. So, keeping that in mind, think about where you are going to spend your time. with whom you are going to spend your time and how you're going to spend your time, because that is the most important value decision that you will ever make. And it is true every moment of our lives. So thank you for spending your precious time with me today. I so greatly appreciate it because I know the value of time.